What's going on, guys? I am Kevin Muller, and welcome to Cinephellas. And I have great news today. I finally finished all the movies I need to catch up on in 2024. And so I decided to make a list, 10 each, of the best and the worst films of 2024. Listen, I know it's August. I wish I could do this for a living, but I can only move so fast. I'm not really going to talk about the worst movies. I'll give you a little brief overview. But the best I will go into detail. But if you don't want to hear me ramble here, my both reviews for both those lists are right above here. So if you want to read that, go ahead. If not, let's get right to it. Let's get the worst over first. Okay, so number 10 is probably the weirdest and definitely most off-putting movie of last year. It is a movie called Tuesdays. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and she's coming to terms with the death of her daughter, and in comes this bird. The bird is beautifully animated. It's supposed to give wisdom, but it just really comes off weird. This movie has weird tonal shifts. Dreyfus can only do so much, and that is why it is number 10. Number 9, not another church movie. Listen, if you hate Tyler Perry, like I know Niall does, maybe we'll get a little bit of enjoyment out of this, but this is really lazy parody. Jamie Foxx does show up and kind of save the movie for about 5 minutes. If you've never seen his charm impersonation, watch this movie for 5 minutes and you'll get to see a good one. Number 8 is the awful, awful adaptation of the video game called Borderlands. I'm not that much of a gamer anymore because, I have a job and responsibilities. It wasn't like when I was a teenager. But I never played this game, but I heard about it. I've seen it played. The visual style is incredible. The kind of naughtiness and mischievous tone it has. None of that is in this movie. This movie is overproduced. Eli Roth, a horror director, thought he can do this, and he's basically doing Guardians of the Galaxy in a really crappy way. And Jack Black, I love Jack Black, man, but Jack Black is irritating as hell in this movie. So again, that's number 8, Borderlands. Number 7 is an A24 movie, and I don't think anyone saw it. You don't need to see it. It is about a old woman who comes into the lives of Brandy and her husband and causes havoc because she's a vile person, she's racist, she's rude. All things that could have made a really good horror movie, but nope, this movie relies on pee, shit, vomit, everything, and there was a shot of shit in the toilet bowl, and I just really can't think of any way to wrap up this review. Argyle is my next one at number 6. This one promised a really good movie in the trailer, but unfortunately, the final product was lame and not as smart as I think it was. And I love Bryce Dallas Howard, but oof, was she miscast in this movie. Number 6, Argyle. Number 5, we got Held with the Purple Crayon, a children's novel that's supposed to be full of wonder and creativity and fun. None of that exists here. I've briefly seen the novels in my friends' classrooms who are teachers of elementary school students or in pre-K. Not sure why they made Harold into an adult played by Zachary Levi, who is doing a really crappy Shazam performance. And I think it's a giraffe and a porcupine. They're turned human, stupid, just like the movie. Nothing's fun about this movie. Really can't see a kid watching this, and yeah, that's why it's here. And number 4. Number 4 is definitely on a lot of people's lists, and you may have thought that this was going to be higher, but it's actually at number 4. It's still a crappy movie. It's Madam Web. It is one of the most inept, incompetent movies made last year. The audio was off, the script was terrible, the performances were bad. But leading the charge of this movie is Dakota Johnson, who sucks the life and charisma out of every scene she is in. She can't sell dialogue. She can't even sell the dialogue of a simple, "Hey, what's going on? How are you?" Everything is flat in this movie. Her performance is flat. A terrible, terrible movie. Number 3, I have the Crow remake. Stuck in development hell for years, should have stayed there. Nothing works here. There was a cool, gruesome sword fight at the end, but the romance, which is the key factors that make this work, Bill Skarsgård and FKA Twigs, they have no chemistry whatsoever. The writing is crappy behind it. Everything does not work in this movie. And I'm not even going to compare it to the 94 version because that would be unfair. This movie sucks. Number 2, we got Pool Man. I love Chris Pine, man. I think everyone loves Chris Pine, but whew, did he strike out here, man? He directed this. I think he co-wrote it or wrote it, and he starred in it. He's taking Chinatown, and then he's trying to do the dude from The Big Lebowski, but it does not work. It is all terrible. Every bad decision that you think a director can make on their first film is made here. And it is incredible how he thought this was good. You may not have heard this movie, but thank God if you didn't. But this is number two, Pool Man. Number one is Rebel Moon, the Scargiver. And you know what the hell? I'm gonna pull the 2023 Rebel Moon, the first one. I don't even remember what it was called. It was just part one. I'm gonna pull this and I'm gonna criticize this thing as a whole. I don't know why Zack Snyder was given $166 million to do this movie. There's nothing interesting in this movie. The performances suck. The script sucks. I'm sure the visuals look fine. You know, you have $166 million to play with, you know, and Zack Snyder, for all his faults, which there are a lot in this movie, he knows how to use special effects in a correct way. But if you don't care about anything or anybody, those effects, okay, they're nice, but you know, it means nothing. It means nothing. There's stakes that have to be done to make a big blockbuster movie like this work. It does not work. It fails on every level. And I hear there are director's cuts of these two movies, and I cannot think of a better way to torture any captured enemies of the state in this country. And again, number one, Rebel Moon. What the hell, the whole saga. Okay, so I have gotten through the worst stuff. Again, if you want to hear a little more expansion on that, on those reviews, it's above. Now I get to the best stuff, the stuff I can't wait to talk about. And I'm gonna have a beer, you know, Sam Adams Oktoberfest, fantastic beer. Um, Again, fantastic beer if you want to send stuff to my house. Anyway, number 10 is Hitman by director Richard Linklater. I love Richard Linklater. School of Rock, Dazed and Confused. The guy knows what to do, and he also did Boyhood. Here he's teaming up with Glenn Powell, who is full of charisma, who is full of confidence and wit, and it's just an electric performer, unlike who I mentioned in the worst, Dakota Johnson. He's the opposite, Dakota Johnson, and he also wrote the script for this movie. In this movie, I'm not going to really spoil the plot. It is about someone who takes the identity of someone, of multiple people, and has fun living and helping the authorities, but also with that job description, you're going to get good stuff, and we'll talk about the good stuff in a second. And you're also going to get all the drama and the problems that happen if you inhabit someone else's life. For a action movie, a comedy like this, the romance between Glenn Powell and Adria Arona is fantastic. It's pretty hot, and this is a comedy, and you know they're both really good romantically. They're also very good with the drama and the comedy. There is one scene in this movie where Powell has to explain everything off like using a phone. I don't want to spoil that, but that scene is incredible. Both actors are brilliant in that movie. And my number 10 pick is always something that I may have found entertaining, but I know may not be an incredible movie. It's going to change this year because this is a really good movie and it is a well-made movie, and that's why Hitman is number 10. Number 9 is The Apprentice. Sebastian Stan was nominated for an Oscar for this movie for playing Donald Trump. You know, Sebastian Stan obviously is way better looking than our president, but he dons the fat suit, the bad hair, and the overall nature of the big guy. Director Ali Abisi and screenwriter Gabriel Sherman have, in my opinion, created a modern take on Frankenstein. And who is Dr. Frankenstein? If Trump is Frankenstein, and that is Roy Cohn, someone that, you know, Roy Cohn takes Trump underneath his wing, and that wing is connected to a person with no morals, no values, and just an overall vile human. And he teaches Trump how to become more aggressive. And as the movie progresses, we start seeing Trump change, and he gets so crazy and so in deep with like what Roy Cohn is teaching him. Roy Cohn starts to, you know, believe like, oh my God, what if I created this monster? It's insane. Roy Cohn, played by Jeremy Strong, not Mark Strong, like I said in the original review. Jeremy Strong, fantastic. I loved him. I loved him. I thought he should have won. I thought that Kieran Culkin was good. I did like Kieran Culkin, but Jeremy Strong was out of this world in this movie. He creates a character that you hate. This guy is hateful, but he's just so much fun to watch. Other good performances by Maria Bakalova as Ivana and Martin Donovan playing Trump's father, who you get to see how much of that relationship influences Trump to become who he was based upon this movie. And there is a disclaimer in this movie saying, you know, this is not a true story, so I can say this the way I'm saying it. And finally, I liked the aesthetic of this movie. This movie takes place in the 80s and the 90s when Trump was younger than he is. He was in his 30s and 40s in this movie. And I thought it was a very, very good representation of old New York, which is dirty, grimy, full of crime, and I thought they captured that well, and that is why The Apprentice is number nine. Every year there is a film that comes out, and the critics see it, the audience sees it, I miss it, and I hear, it was okay, or, it was bad. This year it's Steve McQueen's Blitz, which was on Apple TV. And it stars Saoirse Ronan and a new actor named George Heffernan. I'm sorry, Elliot Heffernan. George is who he plays. And George is a young child during World War II in London. And if you know your history, there are times when the planes were basically coming over and just bombarding towns and cities with bombs. So what they do is they get the kids out of there. And Saoirse Ronan stays. She works in a factory. And the love between them is very pure and brilliantly acted by both actors. Elliot and Saoirse are great in this movie. So while he's on the train, he decides, I want to go back to mom. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to get off this train. So he jumps off the train with a few other people and he basically goes through a journey and odyssey through World War II Europe. Steve McQueen wrote this script and he drops in a lot of interesting facts about the war, Black history within that war. It was a very interesting picture, and he shows all this through the characters and situation that young George basically, finds himself in. We also have a banger score by Hans Zimmer, who is doing industrial stuff for when we are with Saoirse Ronan, who works in a factory producing weapons and shells for the war. Then we also have a very sweeping epic score that is usually connected to these type of films. I don't know, maybe people saw something I thought that wasn't good, but I thought this movie was bold. I thought this movie was beautifully made and really epic and big, and that is why Blitz is number eight. DreamWorks hit it out of the park in 2024 with their animated feature, The Wild Robot. Um, this is an incredibly innovative, fun, and creative film. The plot is when the robot Roz, who was either on a ship or maybe a plane, because she just washes ashore in her box, which breaks when it hits against the rocks of the small island that the whole movie takes place on, that is full with no humans but animals. She gets out and she has to adapt to her surroundings. And getting to know that character and seeing the other characters who will be in this movie, that is the first 20 minutes of the movie. It's an establishment, and it is so good that I restarted the movie just to watch those first 20 minutes. It is so thrilling, it is so fun, and the way that she adapts to the island is just, it's so cool. And there's so much innovative stuff in this movie. It was directed by Chris Saunders, who did Lilo and Stitch and How to Train Your Dragon. So this guy knows what he's doing, and he is fantastic. Lupita Nyong'o does Roz, and she's voicing a robot. Because what happens as this movie progresses forward, it turns into a, how can I say it, parental love story between a surrogate mother who is the robot and an animal that the robot affected. I'm not going to tell you how. And it is really nice, and it is full of love and worry and everything that comes with being a parent. I'm not a parent, but I know people who are parents. I understand what being a parent is about, even though I'm not one. But great movie. This and Flow were really good. Flow didn't make this list, but I check out Flow, and yeah, mission accomplished, Roz. And that's why number seven is The Wild Robot. Demi Moore had a comeback moment in 2024. She was nominated for an Oscar, was nominated for a bunch of stuff, and won some of it for her role in Substance. This movie has her starring as an aging starlet who is starting to be cast out of Hollywood because of her age. And that's when she's in desperation. She finds a doctor who has like a substance in a needle, and she stabs it into her, and she splits into two people, herself and a younger version of herself who is played by Margaret Qualley. Now, this is a simple story about the unfair beauty standards that women have to go through, especially in Hollywood, where this whole entire film takes place. Director and writer Coralie Fajay filters that concept through a body horror movie that you would have seen in the 90s. It's beautifully shot. It makes Tinseltown look hellscape that it is. And look out for Dennis Quaid playing probably the worst representation of a Hollywood big shot I've ever seen. I will never look at a plate of shrimp the same again. But the great thing is that Quali and Demi Moore give 100% of their trust to this director. And you see that trust happen when um, Margaret Qualley is filming like an exercise video, and they're very exploitative angles, and the movie will give you the ick, as the kids say, but that's the point. It's supposed to show how exploitative and sleazy Hollywood can be. Now, as I said in the beginning, both women are split apart, and to keep this thing going, because it's beneficial to them in the beginning, they have to follow rules, but they don't follow those rules. And the results of not following those rules is when this movie really kicks into high gear and becomes really interesting while keeping the prestige and the great writing and directing and acting. It's such a fun movie. And it's just nuts that when I was a kid, I used to watch stuff like this on HBO. And this is something like you would see on HBO, but it has like $1 million budget to it. And it is damn fun. And that's why number six is The Substance. The first 10 minutes of The Brutalist, my number five pick, are breathtaking. You have the score by Daniel Bloomberg and Lau Crowley doing the cinematography. It hooks you into the story about a Hungarian immigrant coming over post World War II to make his mark. The film is 3.5 hours long with a 15-minute intermission, which was cool. I saw this in the theaters. And it shows the strenuous journey that Laszlo Toth, played by Adrian Brody, goes through to try to achieve the American dream. We got great performances from Guy Pearce and Felicity Jones here too. But Brody rightfully took home the Oscar. He is on screen almost the entire movie, and he is doing great work. He's great at this kind of stuff. There was controversy about the AI being used for assistance with the accents. Okay, it sucks. I wish I didn't do that. I wish I didn't find that out because it is very impressive what they sound like. But that is a minor dent on this film. This film is a masterpiece technically. Director Brady Corbet and Ralph Crowley make this film look like an $90 million movie, but it only costs $10 million. And it makes you think that not only why is there so much money being wasted in Hollywood, but like if you give people a chance with vision, maybe they can do stuff like this and blow away the competition. The first part of the movie is a lot stronger than the second. I didn't hate the second, but it's not as good as the first. But either way, this film is an incredible feat of filmmaking. You just have to marvel at the scope of it all. And it's a film that precisely creates a world full of wonder and darkness. And this is number five, The Brutalist. Peter Strahan won the Oscar for the screenplay for my next movie, Conclave. And it tells the stories about the inner workings that go into the selection of the new pope. The cast is godsend with Ralph Fiennes leading the charge as a cardinal within the confines of the Vatican who doesn't want the crown. He wants to help out, but he wants to say, small. He doesn't care. He's a side guy. He wants to do good work for God, but he wants to be in the sidelines. And it's the others who don't share his pureness and goodness. And there's so much drama in this movie that you'll gasp at, like, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. It's a very well written movie, excuse me, and some of the other Cardinals don't deserve it, while others do. But those who do, some of them can't do it for, race, status, and some other reasons. And those other reasons is what makes this movie so special. Again, I'm not going to tell you what it is. You have Ray Fiennes, John Lithgow, Stanley Tucci, Isabella Rossellini, all on fire. No shock there. But it is Sergio Castellitto who is playing Father Tedesco that was the standout for me. The character of Tedesco is a purist, a conservative, doesn't want anything new in the church, wants to keep it old and in the past. And part of that character is that he speaks Latin so fluently. The actor nailed it. I don't know if the actor speaks Latin. If he does, it's still impressive that he does it. It's a dead language. And it's almost like Shakespearean the way he does it. And I really like the performance. Again, Sergio Castellitto stand out amongst the other, incredible actors in this film. Director Edward Berger created remarkable tension and chaos in the quietest of places. This film is a gift to those who admire intellectual and engaging storytelling, and that is why Conclave is number four. Sean Baker has always understood the plight and the struggle of the little guy. That's what I love about his movies because the way he does it, it doesn't feel false. It feels real. And in the film Honora, we meet Honora, or Annie, who is a sex worker, and she gets involved with Russian royalty, a boy named Vanya. They fall in love with each other. It's young love. They get married. People who live in America, they live in America, but they represent them in America. So it's three guys, one headman and two henchmen. All three of those guys are great. Every single one of those guys was great. I know one of the guys, what was his name? Yuri Barsarov. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but any of those three guys could have got it. My personal pick would have been Karan Gludigan, who is the right-hand man. He's like the head of the goons. I thought he was hilarious. I thought he was aggressive. And of course, Mikey Madison is fantastic. She has such energy. She's an Coast baddie, if you want to say that. And it's a really great performance. Baker's touch comes in when the reality of everything starts happening, and you discover that you're seeing the class system through the plot, the conversations, the dialogue, the symbolism, and you're seeing that life isn't fair for everybody, and those who are not good people can hide behind their money. And this wasn't my pick for Best Picture. I know this won Best Picture at the Oscars this year, but it is good enough to land at number three, Honora. Point for Luca Gugliano. The sexiest film of the year was one about the love triangle between three tennis players. In this world, sex is currency, and tennis is the lover's dance. This film is a knockout. It's electrifying. It's high energy. It's like someone put adrenaline into you. I had so much fun with this movie, and it's very well made and it's well acted. Mike Feist, Zendaya, and Josh O'Connell, all electric, all sell the romance and the naughtiness. Everything works in this movie as far as the acting. This film wasn't really nominated for anything. I think it was nominated for one. This thing should have got every nomination. And we're going to start with cinematographer Sayambula Mukprum. Sorry if I killed your name, man, if you're listening. His work is extraordinary on and off the court. In the quieter scenes, he captures the electricity of young love. But on the court, holy shit, like it was innovative and insane and so full of life what he gave us in those tennis scenes, especially the final matchup, which I watched that twice. It's incredible, and I still watch it on YouTube. Great scene. We also have the visuals being assisted by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross's score, which only heightens the drama. Luca is a great director. I cannot wait to see what he does next. He did Queer last year, and it didn't make this list, but that was a very well made movie, especially when you find out everything's in miniatures. Congratulations all around on this film. You almost had it at number one. You were so close. Like I had to rewatch both these movies again to see which one I liked better, but that is not a knock against this thing. This is one of the best movies of the year. Like this is something that almost made number one for me. Number two is Challengers. So, what is the best film that I saw in 2024? Hmm. What do you think? What do you think? Well, I have some good news and I have some bad news for you. First, the bad news. Let's get that out of the way. Since we're coming up on the 31 Days of Horror at this site, I figured I would save, you know, this movie for a full review, like a full written review and a full video review. So you know it's horror. So what horror movie last year really stuck with me? Um, Lived rent-free in my head, took my breath away, and is now the answer to the question when people ask me, what is your favorite horror movie of all time? And ladies and gentlemen, it's Smile 2. Smile 2 is an incredible film that skyrockets over the original in every single way. And I like the original. But this one is just incredible. Naomi Scott, it should have been, she should have been nominated. I think she maybe should have won, but what she does in this film, and I'll expand on it next in October, is breathtaking. And she only had 2 weeks to prepare after she got cast. You would have noted. You would have thought that she spent months developing what she does here. But I'm going to stop there. And all I'll say, actually, I'll say one more thing. If the first movie was a modest base hit, This one knocked it out of the park, cleared the stands, wherever you want that ball to land, that's where this movie landed. Great movie. Come back in October, and I promise I will follow up on my thoughts. What did you think of my list? Did you agree with it? Do you disagree with it? Is there something that I should have put on the worst or put on the best? Let me know. Come to the website, cinephellas.com. We're on X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And listen, guys, I really want to thank you guys for sitting here and listening to me ramble about film. I love doing this for you guys. Logan, man, thank you so much for doing this video. I appreciate it. And as we always say on this site, I am Kevin Muller, and cheers.